Hey, how we doing, folks? I am back after a washout. Yeah, I got hit by the flood and wiped out the basement. Fourth or fifth time we've lost the basement, and every single one of those times, it uh, it hasn't been our fault. But I'm back today, and we got a great show. We're going to do an awful lot of stuff. I'll fill you in about my whole basement saga because it involved a couple of other things that weren't quite basement related and questions that I have. But then also, it brought me to a Home Depot etiquette question. If you're at Home Depot, because I did something and I'm not exactly sure if this is a good Home Depot etiquette. Then after that, what we're going to do is I've got the news, and I've done deeper into that dildo throwing at ICE by the protesters and where the whole dildo throwing thing came from. And I'm going to share that with you because, believe it or not, I've got some ideas, and we'll get to that and a lot more on KB's Unemployed Show, and it starts right now.
It's KB's unemployed sheet. He's unemployed and didn't know what to do, so he started a shade. Talks about stuff to kill time. He didn't know what to call.
Wow, I don't know what happened there. Boy, that cut off quick. Anyway, yeah, KB's Unemployed Show. I am back. I am back. It is unemployment day 128. And we have had some discussions, let's just say. I made this announcement, and let me just stream it across the bottom here. I made this announcement the other day, and then I'll stream it across the top there. I made an announcement the other day that there is a announcement of some significance coming up about that should, if you were fans of the game, it should make you happy. And I will fill you in on that on May 7th. I will make the announcement. I think you will find it to be quite enjoyable. Quite enjoyable. So that is coming on May 7th. But right now, I want to talk about a couple of things that are going on. Hey, James, how you doing? You're back after the Brewers game. I did not see that. Did the Brewers win? That's the question that I've got. Did we get a Brewers victory today? And if we did get a Brewers victory, did we get a dirty Sal Frelick jersey? Because right now, the Brewers are 9-7. Well, as of last night, they were 9-7 or 9-8. Were they 9-8? So they're 10-8 now. And I've been keeping a stat. It's an advanced statistic. And we kept this. Well, I didn't keep it last year, but Sue noticed it. And if you could tell me, James, was Sal Frelick's jersey dirty? Because what my wife knew, what she pointed out last year, and now we do it this year every time the game is going on, is it seemed like the Brewers would win more often than not if Sal's jersey was dirty. And if that is indeed the case, then the record would go, the record for him with the dirty jersey would go to 6-2. And then you can see and then you just do the math, and you can just do the math, and then you'll know exactly. So if they're 10-8 and they were 6-2, then they're 4-6 when his jersey doesn't get dirty. So Sue is right about this. So far, it's holding out that when Sal gets dirty, the Brewers more often than not will win. Their winning record, their winning percentage is higher when he does get his jersey dirty. I mean, because Sal's pure hustle, right? He is pure hustle, and boy, that 6-game losing streak was tough to stomach if you're a Brewers fan. We haven't seen one of those in years and years and years. So, but, they're back on the right track. And I'm not exactly sure who's coming in this weekend, but I don't really care because It really doesn't matter. I can't talk about sports yet for a couple of months. So it's no big deal. But today is National High Five Day. So high five someone, high five anyone. Here's the thing, and I have contested, or I have believed this in a long time, and I challenge everyone out there to go out and try and do it and see what happens. Is that no man in the world, there is not a man ever on the planet who can resist a high five. It doesn't matter. Go to a bar. I don't care where you are. If you're out, and if a guy walks by, all you have to do is just throw the hand up, give him the putty high five, right? Just throw the high five up and they will high five you. You don't even have to know them and they will high five you. A man cannot resist a high five. And it's a social experiment. Go out and do it on your own. I high five Slash. Okay. I'll give you the backstory on this. I was in the House of Blues on Sunset. And I was out there with the agency I was working for, and we were shooting commercials, right? So I'm out at the House of Blues on Sunset, and we go out for dinner. And in the main room, Richie Sambora was playing. So we go out for dinner, and we're in this room that's, I can't really remember how we did this. It was overlooking the stage area. And when we got done eating, we got, it was in the back of where the stage was. And we got finished and we went up to the side. And on the side of the stage was a long bar on the second level. And so we sat there, and it was Richie Sambora and his band was playing. Pretty solid. Let's see. Jeff is, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what your name means. Jeff says, no, he pinch ran for Sanchez late in the game, and then he was out of the game. So, okay, he didn't get his jersey dirty, but they still won. So anyway, back to the House of Blues story. So we're in the House of Blues on Sunset, and Richie Sambora is playing. So we eat our dinner, and we're like, well, let's go see if we can, kind of sneak our way in and watch the show. And we kind of went into this other area, and no one checked us. No one checked us for tickets, so we're watching the show. And as we're watching, we're kind of looking down. We're on the, if you could imagine, we're right on the side of the stage on the second level. So we're looking down right on the stage from the side. And the guy comes out to sit in with Richie Sambora, and we weren't really paying attention to the show as much as we were just talking, and there was a show going on. A guy comes out to play with him. And he's got a bit of he's got a ponytail, and he's got a bald spot on the top of his head. And I look down and I'm looking at him, and I knew this guy was a guitar player, right? And so I said to the guys we were with, I'm like, hey, I think that's Steven Seagal playing with Richie Sambora. And, Richie was playing mostly blues and stuff like that. Anyone can follow along to that. And so we just keep an eye on it and we watch, and it's like, well, sure shit, that is Steven Seagal playing with Richie Sambora, which was cool in and of itself. And then a couple songs later, out comes the Stovepipe Top Hat. And it's like, oh my God, we're watching Slash play with Richie Sambora, which was just mind-blowing, right? It's like, get Steven Seagal, who cares? But you had Slash. So we have Slash playing. They get done with the show. Now we're still sitting up top. Show's done. Bar's still open. So we're just sitting up having some cocktails. And so we're looking down the stairs. To the left of us is a stairwell. And, okay, don't think anything of it. Well, walking up this stairwell is this chick who is, you go, what a smoke show, but she's not, okay, because she was obviously a porn star, right? There's that, you've got the, you got a smoking hot chick look, and then you got a porn star dressed up look, right? And she was totally a porn star, just big inflatables up top, tight dress, the whole thing. And so she's walking up, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then walking up right behind her is Slash. So he was with her, but here comes Slash, and he's walking right by, and the girl walks by, and I see Slash, and I just go, hey, and I put up the high five to high five, and bang, slaps the hand, walks right by. So no guy, I don't care who you are, no guy can resist a high five at all. I mean, you could be, I mean, I bet you if you go to the Pope's Wednesday, and he's from, oh, sorry, and he's from Illinois, right? And thank God he's a Sox fan and he's not a Cubs fan. Let me just say that right now. But he's got, if the Pope, if you were on that Wednesday audience when he comes out and he gives a speech, and then he goes out into the crowd and kind of zips around a little bit, meets some people. I think if the Pope's coming by you and you threw out a high five, the Pope would high five you. I don't think he would. He can't not high five, because a man cannot not high five someone. I don't know if it's in the DNA or what, but boom, got to high five you. High five. So it's National High Five Day, which would be fun. So go out tonight. I don't care where you are, grocery store. Just all you have to do as you're crossing each other, you're going in different directions, just boom, flip up the hand. And sometimes you might have to go high five, and they'll do it. People will do it. Right? You could have done it during COVID. People were freaking out. They got triple masks on and they wouldn't touch your hand and everything like that. And then it's like, but if you walk by and went high five, in a store, they would do it. Guarantee you. Something that we just can't stop. We just can't stop doing it. So National High Five Day. So go out and high five someone. I would say go high five someone you love, but you can high five anyone. You can high five people you hate, and they're not going to care. And then it is also National Wear Your Pajamas to Work Day. And I think that's something that we all learned again during COVID. But you wear your pajamas all the time, you get fat. Okay. And I have learned that. I lost all that weight and I was back up, and I'm still trying to drop it. And I haven't been diligent. I know I was going to, do it on here so you can follow the weight loss journey. But, Milwaukee Weight Loss isn't paying me anymore. And I like bourbon. And so there were a lot of reasons why I have not dropped all the pounds. So I just weighed myself today. I'm down like 3/4, no, maybe a little more, 1.25 pounds than when I started. So, but if I ramp it up, I can drop the weight. Right. But that's where during COVID, we all wear sweatpants, and that's where we got bigger. Now I'm wearing, I was wearing sweatpants since they fired me. And I guarantee you, wearing the sweatpants, that is where the extra weight came from. Because if you don't have the tight waistline, then you don't know if you're getting bigger, right? Because they just stretch out. And next thing you know, when you go back to try and get in the pants, you have to, you go, oh, fuck, man, I'm fat again. And I am not going back there. So I'm not snugging any of my pants yet. I mean, I can tell the difference, but I'm not snugging them. But the biggest benefit of losing all the weight that I did was my suits fit again. And now I could go to, funerals and stuff like that and not have my, I guess you could say my belly hanging over, got the goiter or whatever. And so I didn't have to do any of that. But you can thank that. You can thank pajamas and sleep pants and all that for the weight gain, because it happens to everyone. But also, it is, like I said, wear your pajamas to work day. Or, as some parents will tell you, especially parents of kids that go to a public school. And this is not to say there's anything wrong with public schooling, okay? But private schools generally have a uniform or a dress code. But National Wear Your Pajamas to Work Day, but parents with kids at public schools would call it Wear Your School Clothes to Work Day because, man, they get away with wearing anything. And, you know, you see girls in those flannel sleep pants and stuff like that. It's like, what the hell? Not that, you know, there is a fine line in school dress, right? Between overdressed and pig, right? You got to split that line because no one liked, you know, there was always the guy, there was always a couple people in the class that came every single day, right? They came every single day. They got new school clothes, always looked great. Everything matched, everything was pressed. Okay. Well, you don't want to be that guy because that guy gets made fun of because they're probably like PBS watchers, right? Or, you know that the parents are strict on them because they have to wear good school clothes. It's like you're not going to school dressed like that when all you wanted to do was go to school dressed like that. But uh, uh, that is like you don't want to be that guy, but then you don't want to be the real sloppy one either. So you got to split that. You got to split that line right down between where am I just right, dressed for school and where am I not. Although I will tell you, there was a period when I was at KLH in the morning and doing the morning show where my day job had I was still doing the morning show, but something happened with the lost a couple of big accounts in an agency, and they had to cut staff, and so I found myself, out on the street, which is fine. I mean, that happens. It happens all the time in agencies, and but I was still doing KLH in the morning, and I would literally roll in with looking horrible. I mean, it would look like I just rolled out of bed. And you know why? Because it did. I did just roll out of bed. And it didn't matter to me because I would just roll in, roll out. It's radio. It's not TV. It's not like anyone can see me. I will tell you today, I can stand up. I am wearing pants today. As you can see, I've got some khakis on, right? I got my khakis on. But almost every other time that you see me here when I'm doing this, it's shorts or something to that effect. Every single time. So wear your pajamas to work day. There we go. I hope you're wearing your pajamas to work. I did not today. So I had no show yesterday. Why did I have no show? Because the basement flooded once again. And I'm just going to go out right now and I'm going to say this. I am getting freaking sick and tired of, I'm really getting sick and tired of these 100-year floods because we've had 300-year floods in the last 2 years, right? They're only, they're only, so there's 3 in the last 2 years. They're only supposed to come every 100 years. So we have really used, we're 200 years ahead of schedule at least, right? So we don't need these anymore. But I've gone through losing this basement. I showed you a picture yesterday. Like if the picture's still up there, I'll just pop it up again. You can see it. Where is that? Where's the basement? There it is. Everything is strewn about and had all my guitars piled up. The sad thing is when the basement gets blown out like that, I know exactly what to do. And I can clean it up in a heartbeat. Now, problem that I've got is that, well, first of all, the first thing I do when when the water comes in is I learned this after the first time we lost our basement because the people that came, And I don't know if they're from Service Pro, which, by the way, they do not advertise here. If you want to talk about the biggest freaking got you over a barrel, we're going to take all your money scam in the world, it's Service Pro. When you see the price of this stuff, so you come in and we lost everything. And Service Pro came in, and the people that came in, and they had to rip up our carpeting and they had to take it out. Well, what they said was, he said, what they said was, what you got to do is if you're putting carpeting back down here, don't put the pad underneath. Now, at the time, my son was younger, and so he was a little guy. They're crawling around on their hands and knees, playing on the floor. So we put the pad under there, so it'd be a little bit softer. Well, he was older. It's like, okay, I won't put the pad under there. Since we took that pad out, and what he had said is, that you put a pad down there and you get water, you got to rip everything out. You have no way around it. It's all coming out. And he said the reason being is that pad underneath is like a sponge. In fact, it is a sponge. He goes, you could take water extractors in there until you're blue in the face, and you are never getting the water out. It's just not coming out of that. It's not coming out of that carpet pad. So you're just totally hosed. So he goes, put it back in. He goes, don't put it down, just glue it to the floor. So we redid it, and heeded the advice. Since that time, we've been flooded out 3 times, and every time it's been just a snap. I don't like the fact that it was flooded out, but the first time we lost it, what had happened was when the guy installed, the first time it happened, the sump pump had burned out. Okay. Well, the guy came in, put in a new sump pump after it was over. Next time, right, sump pump didn't burn out, but the float, when the guy put the float in the crock and the way it would adjust, he did something wrong, that there was something hanging out in the line of the float. So the float would not go all the way to the top like it's supposed to, okay, to empty. So it got stopped. There was something hanging over and it got stopped. And it was the installation was wrong. So that flooded out the basement. Obviously not thrilled about it, but it was worker error. The third time we did it was just a whole ton of rain, and our sump pump could not keep up. So what happened was we saw the water coming in, and I immediately called the plumber. And we got a great plumber around here, Hagen Plumbing. They're the awesomest. They're just so great. And so called them, and the guy comes in, and he worked his ass off, quickly, looking at the situation. And this was all the water was coming in, and it just couldn't keep up. And he's like, okay, well, you need another. He goes, you need another sump pump. And it wasn't pumping out to the street. We have since found that the 6-inch pipe going out to the street from the sump pump, it was somehow knocked off. Right. So it's not, you can't pump to, it doesn't empty, the sump doesn't empty into that pipe that goes to the road anymore. So the guy comes in and he goes, okay, this is what we got to do to get the water out of the basement. He said, do you mind if I drill a hole in the side of your house? Like, if it gets the water out of the basement, I don't give a shit if you drive you can do whatever you want to get the water out. Okay. And he goes, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reroute. He goes, I'm going to reroute the exit pipe. He goes, and I'm going to come in here on the PVC pipe, and I'm going to quarter it out. And I'm going to run it up to the wall, and then I'm going to run a pipe out through the wall and into the front yard. So that's what he did. And then he goes, now quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install another sump pump, because it was still raining when he did this. So he went in really fast, put the pipe out into the front yard, and then put a second one in. put a second sump pump in. And ever since that time, every time it rained, it's like these two babies, you know, they come on and just pumping away. Now, what I didn't do, which I know a lot of people do at the time, and I don't know why I didn't, but there was a pretty good reason. Did not put the battery backup on. Did not do that. So that was kind of a mistake. Although I did talk to people that lost their basements again this time around, and a couple of them said our battery backup failed, and it only went for 2 hours, and this was going on for a long time. So the battery backup didn't work for them. I don't have the battery backup in. So the water is coming down the other night like a mother. Now, as I said, I've got this down to a science. Because after the first initial blowout that we lost everything in the basement, right? We put the carpet down, there's no pad. And then the guy says to us, he goes, all you got to do, he goes, then when you get water, you know, providing it's not sewage, and it hasn't been, which is great. He goes, if you get water, all you have to do is when it gets out of the basement, you go get a carpet cleaner, you know, go rent one from Home Depot, sucks all the water up, and you're golden. And then you just dry it out. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what I've done the last couple of times. So the first time, second time, you know, I was new at it. This time, as soon as the rain is coming down, it's Sue and I the other night when it happens. We see, you know, it's coming down, and the pump is fine. She goes, can you hear the pump? And because we were all down in the basement because Mark Baden told us to, which as much as, and I love Mark, he's such a cool guy. Excuse me. He was such a cool guy, but we miss Lindsay Slater. I know my wife misses her quite a bit, and she's always so good when disaster strikes. And Baden's great too, don't get me wrong. But we're down in the basement, and the sump pump is running, and everything is fine. It's all good. And then the power goes out. Yeah, power goes out, which means the sump pump is out, which means it's pouring like a mother, which means there is no sump pump working, and we could just watch it rise and start to sneak out over the carpet. It's like, God damn it. So I'm like, well, there's not much I can do because it's like 1:30 in the morning, so I might as well just go to bed. And then I'll get up at the crack of dawn, and I'll run out to Home Depot, and I'll get myself a carpet cleaner. Get back, all done. We'll take care of it. So previously, earlier in the evening, I don't know how this happened, but our garage door wouldn't go up. And this is while we still had power. The garage door would not go up and down. And as you know, those things are pretty heavy. Now, if your garage door goes out, it's no big deal if you have an electronic garage door, because you can unhook it and then it'll just go, you just lift it and put it up. Real easy, right? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's very easy, unless the spring breaks on your garage door. So I look up, and sure enough, the spring is broken on one side of the door. So now this is at 11 o'clock at night. And now I'm like, oh, great. I love this. This is so perfect. I can't think of anything more perfect, because when the rental place opens at Home Depot, I'm going to get up and go at 6 in the morning. And I'm going to get that carpet cleaner right away. I'm going to be at the front of the line. And now I can't get the garage door up. And you can't lift it when that spring's broken. It's like 280 pounds. There's no way I'm lifting that freaking thing. So now I'm trapped in the house. I called the garage door people that evening, and they said, Yeah, we can get out. We'll get out sometime tomorrow afternoon. Now I got a basement of the water. You're not going to be coming until tomorrow afternoon. Oh, dear God, what the hell am I going to do? Right? This is going to suck. This is just going to it's going to be the absolute worst. So I just resigned myself to disaster. Now, our next door neighbor has had a problem too the last couple of times. And I texted him and I said, "Are you going over to Home Depot in the morning? Did you have water?" He goes, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Can I split it with you? Because you can use it and then I can use it. We'll take it back and can we split it?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, That's no problem. Why?" And I said, "Because my garage door is broken and my cars are locked in the house and I cannot get out. And I will be stuck here tomorrow afternoon as my basement goes to crap, right?" And he said, "Yeah, no." He goes, "Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all." And I get a text at about 6:15 in the morning, and he says, "Yeah, they got like 6 carpet cleaners here. Why don't you come on over?" And I'm like, I can't. But he had already left, so I can't say rent another one for me and bring it back. Um, so I go out to the garage and I rehook the garage door opener. I go, I'm just going to take a freaking stab at this, and I push the button and up it goes. And it's because the motor on the garage door opener was pretty strong. And so it still had the power, even though a coil on one side was broken, it could still get the whole door up. So we got out, thankfully. So I go to Home Depot, right? And I go to the rental place in Home Depot. Now, I am surprised that it was not as crowded as it could have been, because the last time we had the 100-year flood before this, um, it was like lined up from the rental area all the way back to, the checkout area. And you weren't getting anything. People were throwing box fans, they were buying carpet fans, they were doing anything they could possibly do that is going to suck up water. And it was a really long line. I get there, there's a lady in front of me, another neighbor from down the street, and maybe 2 or 3 other people. And then they start coming in. While I'm waiting in line, the woman is getting 2 of those carpet fans. And so she gets up and the guy's like, "What can I help you with?" She goes, "I'll take those 2 carpet fans." And I see there are 4 up there. And so I say to him, "I'll take the other 2." And I'm the next one in line, right? So it's the lady taking 2. I am the very next one in line. And I said, "I'll take the other 2." Now, here is where I was conflicted. So I take the other 2, and the guy, and it's not the guy that's immediately following me, and it's not the guy after the guy, right? It's the guy after the guy after the guy. It's like, in terms of Home Depot people, it's the place after the place after the place, the guy after the guy after the guy. And he kind of peeks his head around. He goes, "You take both of those?" And there was a split second in my mind that it actually crossed my mind. It's like, should I be, just a good Christian? And I'll be a good Christian and I'll say, "You know what? Why don't you take one of mine?" And then that was a fleeting thought. I'm like, screw that. My basement is getting wiped out. I'm going to take the fan. I'm sorry, but you should have gotten here earlier. Now, I did feel kind of bad about doing that. However, here's how I justified it. You tell me if I did the right thing. So, woman takes 2, I take the other 2. Granted, you can get me for hoarding. If you wanted to, you could get me for hoarding. But I don't believe that I was. And then there's one guy who doesn't say anything, and the other guy who doesn't say anything, and it's the third guy down who wants the other carpet pan. I don't give it to him. My rationale is this. You tell me if I'm right. My rationale is, if it was the guy right next to me, one behind me, or even the guy after the guy, any one of those 2 guys, I would have entertained, you know what? I would have entertained giving up one, especially the guy right next to me, because taking the last fan when a guy's basement is wiped out is, I guess it would be like very, very similar to that douchebag on The Price is Right who always someone bids 250 and they go 251. Okay. That's kind of the level of douchebaggery you would be looking at. Um, so, but it's two guys down and I stiff them. And here's what I want to know. Was I obligated to give up that fan? Because I'm thinking I wasn't, because you were two guys down. How do you know? The next guy or the guy after him may have taken that fan. So I give up the fan to a guy doors down, two guys down, but I don't know what the two guys next to me want, and they may want a fan too. So if I give up my fan and I go two behind them, well, then I'm going to have two guys pissed at me if they wanted fans. So just because you spoke up, no, that doesn't mean you get the fan. So I said, no, I'm taking both of these. And I did. But I was explaining the story to someone and they said, wow, you're being such an ass. And I'm like, how am I being an ass? I don't think I'm being an ass. It's like I need tools to clean up my basement because it smells like shit. There's water everywhere. I have to have tools to clean up my basement. And you're saying that, hey, no, you have to share. Screw that. Screw the sharing. There's absolutely no way. Thanks, Brett. Yeah, you're right. You said no. And you bring up another good point there, Brett, saying you don't know if he would have reciprocated if the shoe was on the other foot, and you don't. Okay. All I know is I got there and I can buy as much as I want because it's America, and or rent as much as I want, and I am not obligated to give you anything. Sorry, but I'm just not. So I took my two fans and left. I was telling someone else, and they said, "Oh, you were such an ass. How do you figure?" I can't figure out how I was an ass. Because he was two guys down. Right next to me, I'm going to be fine. Even the guy after the guy, because I could turn to the guy right next to me and go, do you need a fan? No, I'm not getting a fan. He might say that. At which point, then I could go to the guy after that. You know what? Why don't you just take mine? So now I know. But going two down, that's too far. That's too much of a stretch. So I did not give up the fan. But I came and I've got this, like I said, I've got this down to a science now, because I know as soon as the water comes in, get to Depot, get one of those carpet shampooers, and you don't use any shampoo or clean it at all, and you just suck up all the water, and then you hit it with some fans. Now, the problem that I don't have, that I do have, and you can feel free to chip in and help me with this one, is that mildewy kind of smell that you get for a while. And I'm not a big fan of that, but there's no real way around it. So I've been burning candles and stuff like that. And that pretty much just covers it, covers the smell. But if anyone knows how to get rid of that mildewy smell, please, by all means, help me out with that. Now, Sue won't come down in the basement, so this is like my haven. And if you notice, because I'm sitting in a different spot, I had to move, KB's broadcast center. Sue won't come down in the basement. She hates it down in the basement. The basement is like, it's where all my guitars are down here. I got an Xbox down here. I got a TV down here. I got a big couch. Gets dark during the day. It's a good napping area. And, it's I can be sitting there watching TV and go over, pick up a guitar, start jamming along, doing whatever I want. But Sue won't come down in the basement because she has bought into the whole, somehow she thinks that if there's radon, it's like you're going to get cancer, like you're sitting next to somebody who's got the flu and doesn't wash their hands. It's like, well, radon doesn't necessarily work that way. And furthermore, there's radon in every basement, right? The radon, that might be a scam too. The whole radon scam. But I'm not putting in a radon detector, okay? Because that thing's just going to probably be going off all the time. You don't have a radon eliminator. So, hey, if you're going to get everything causes cancer. I mean, you eat a box of cheese, it's cancer. So I'm not going to worry about it. But Sue won't come down in the basement. She doesn't like coming down here. And she hates she's like, yeah, it smells like a basement. Well, that's what basements smell like. And we didn't put 50,000 into this thing to tighten it up. Put some drywall up, put some carpeting down, livable. That's it. But so she doesn't come down in the basement, but she hates the smell. I get used to it. You get nose blind, right? But if anyone knows a good thing to do to get rid of that mildewy kind of thing, I've got I turned everything off. I've got the humidifiers going and I got the big fans. But if anyone knows of an over-the-counter product you can get that'll help dry that up. I did see there was a couple of things, and I may have one that you would use. There were these they kind of look like a little Oxy clean bucket, and it had some pebbles or something that you would put in there, and you would put them in the room that was wet, and somehow it extracted all the water, all the humidity. Right now, the humidity down here is at about 80%, which is a little high. I like keeping, with guitars and stuff, I keep the humidity at about between 55 and 65%, which is probably pretty good for guitars. But again, the etiquette. Tell me, was I required to offer up that second fan, or could I take it? I'm going with I could take it. That's definitely what I'm going with. But you tell me. So fourth time we lost it. We were worried last night when it started raining again. It's like, oh dear God, but this time the power went out, and that's what caused the problem with the sump, not the two of them. But then the other thing I got to know is that I still have this thing routed outside, and when we looked in after the first time, we looked in the pipe, right, and inside, it's somehow probably 3 feet out from the house, it got knocked off. And so that's one of the reasons we had a problem. Now, I was not in the mood by any stretch of the imagination to go hire somebody to come in and dig down around the foundation and change that sump pump. I just was not, at the time. I mean, you're looking at 5,000 at least to do that, and you got to dig down. And I'm like, no. And so I've just got this big pipe that's running out of the side of my house and emptying into the lawn. And I don't know if that's illegal or not. I have no idea if it's against code or what have you. But what I did was I have the pipe that's running out of the house, and instead of a big, and it runs out of the front into where our foliage is. But, the big 2-inch PVC pipe that's extending about 20 feet out from the house becomes pretty obvious that it's out there. So if it is against code, I don't want anyone driving by looking at the house and then go, hey, right here, these guys, we get to go talk to them. They've got a legal dumper and they're dumping water illegally. So I don't want to get caught with that. So I got that accordion type stuff that you put on that you always put on your downspouts, and then you can steer the water, if you will. I got a couple of long ones, those in green. And so I have it that goes up almost the entire way to the white, where the white pipe is. So you can't see white, and it's in our landscaping. So the green doesn't pop out. So it comes down, and then I have, green that goes out to the area where I dump the water. And it works just fine if you don't lose power. But if anyone knows out there, if doing a direct out and not into the storm drain is okay, then then I'm going to keep doing it. If it's not okay, well, then I'm going to keep doing it because I'm just not going to spend the money until I have to. There's stuff around the house. So we're getting older and we're going to probably sell the house before too long. And there's stuff that needs to be done around the house that I'm just going, you know what? I'm not putting that money in because it's not going to come out right. Um, it's like, hey, we have to put new kitchen cabinets in it or whatever. We have to redo the kitchen. I'm like, fuck that. I mean, our house is not going up. Put a $75,000 kitchen in. We're not getting 75,000 more out of the house. We're just not. Right. It would max out. So we're going to leave the kitchen the way it is. And if somebody comes in and they don't like it, they can change it because they do it anyway. Anyone who buys a house comes in and changes everything. So if you go and you start changing the house before you sell it, unless it's a coat of paint here and there, well, you're an absolute idiot. It would be windows, roof, siding, things like that are huge if you're going to do. um, that's fine, um, because that will be a selling point where you're going, oh, we got new windows 3 years ago. Okay, great, excellent, that's excellent. Um, and But when it comes to the other stuff, I finally have Sue convinced you do what a builder does, and when a builder is putting up model homes in a subdivision, right? Well, those model homes that they built, all the stuff in there is crap. But it's brand new and it's shiny. I mean, we must have gone in when we bought this house and it was a model, but when we first got it, we probably ripped out. In fact, I guarantee you, we ripped out almost every single fixture because it's all that crappy stuff that's in there. So we ripped out all the fixtures, we got all those changed out. But now when Sue looks at fixtures, it's like, oh, we could do this. And it's like, it's a light sconce, it's $134. Think like a builder, right? Where you put junk up, but it looks really, really good. And then when you sell the house, then the new people that come in have to pay for it. Right? I'm not paying for it. They can either keep it or put new stuff in. But just because I want new stuff doesn't mean I'm giving new stuff to them. So that is the way that I handle that. But yeah, so now I'm back down in the basement. It's kind of mildewy. If you know of any products out there that could help with this, I would greatly appreciate it. The other thing is that now, though, with the weekend coming around here, I can show you what. Here, we'll take this and we'll show you what's going around up there. And you can see there's stuff over here, and there's the ring light, and all that crap is piled up over there. And I turned all the fans off because it was very loud, very noisy. Uh, we're back in business. But so this weekend I'll get all this stuff put away, and hopefully it won't be too nasty. And then I'll have my place back, and then I'm gonna keep the studio here. Here, if you know anyone with an ozone maker, no. Sorry, Brad, I don't know anyone with an ozone maker. I didn't even know there was ozone makers. That shows you my knowledge of ozone is so bad. Let's see. We use that in my mother-in-law's house, and it worked great. You'll just have to not be in the room for a few hours, but you'll be surprised at how well it works. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Can you rent an ozone maker? If I have an ozone maker, if I go to Home Depot to rent it at Depot, and they have two left, can I only use one? Am I going to end up in a situation like it was in before with the fan, with the carpet fan? But I was going to say that's what I was talking about. CertaPro, what a ripoff it was, because the first time you said this, the Service Pro people came in, right? And it's like, oh, you're claiming it on, you're claiming it on your insurance. Okay, so you have so much that you're going to use for insurance, and you get an estimate of what it's going to be to redo, but you had to get the water out. So call Service Master. Well, I don't even know what that is. Right. And they come in and they've got the big fans and the big humidifiers and the big dryers. And they bring them in. You're thinking, okay, well, this is great. Okay, we're going to get this dried up in a New York minute. Well, here's what they don't tell you is how much it costs. And it's like, you're going to have stuff down for a couple of days, right? So how much, you're looking at how much is, well, each one of those big rug fans, that's $50 an hour. Oh, so if I keep one for 24 hours, we're looking at $1,000. Thereabouts. And I'm like, what a fucking ripoff this is. So what they do is they charge these exorbitant high rates for all this equipment. And what ends up going on is they chew up all of the money that is coming from your insurance company that you were going to use for drywall and fixing all that. They chew all that up in the rental equipment, and you got nothing left to rebuild. So it's like, no, I'm not doing that again. This is the biggest ripoff I've ever seen in my entire life. But, like I said, I got it down to a science. Everything was cleaned up by about 5 o'clock last night. I just have to let it dry out a little more and I can move stuff around. But I did say to Sue, I go, I don't know how I feel about this because I have got this thing down to a science. Water's coming in. Okay, do this, and this. Boom, 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 boom. I'm done. I'm out. Everything is taken care of. Lucky me. So that is my basement flooding story. A couple of news stories that I want to get to, a couple of things that I love here. Rory wins the Masters, right? And these golfers now are all into heart rate, and they've got like the Aura rings, and they've got all of these biometrics. And heart rate is huge. How can you keep your heart rate down? How can you stay relaxed when you're playing? And they've got all this going on while they're playing. And I think the thing that they wear is called a Whoop band, WHOOP. It's a fitness tracker. There we go. Potential spam. I'm going to send that right to voicemail. So what they do is it's a fitness tracker, and it measures recovery on a scale of 0 to 100. So no matter what you do, it'll track your body movements if you exert yourself, and then it'll tell you how fast you got back, how it took to get back to normal, your recovery time. And if you have a recovery measurement, which would be a green score, means that you've recovered, your body is primed for peak performance, you covered well, you're ready to go again, right? But if you have and that green score is near 100, it goes from 0 to 100. But a red score, if you get a red score, it means that you're exhausted or, you're just wiped out. So Rory had 4 days to win the Masters, 4 days of elite level green scores, right? I mean, he was recovering quickly. He put 91,000 steps on, walking the course in those 4 days, 91,000 steps. All right. And had a resting heart rate of 47 beats per minute, which is insanely low. I mean, but that's how people are that are in good shape, right? Their heart doesn't have to beat as much. And 47 beats per minute all week. He wins the Masters, right? He wins the Masters. He's getting up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning, up around 100, just ready to go. That's his rating. Wins the Masters. Monday morning, he wakes up, and I love this. His rating is 7%. He went from 100 to 7%. He did a 93% decrease to 7 freaking percent. He went out on a heater that night. Well, yeah, you won the Masters, for God's sakes. But that kills me. He went from 100 all the way down to 7. So, hey, all I can say is good on you, Rory. You won the freaking Masters. Go out and go on a bender. Absolutely, you should. That's what you're supposed to do. Hell, those guys used to go out on benders right after their round. I remember back in the day when the Greater Milwaukee Open was at Tuckaway, I had a clubhouse badge. I was probably in my 20s. I had a clubhouse badge. I'm in the clubhouse and Fuzzy Zeller's in there in the grill room drinking whiskey, right? When you had a clubhouse badge, these guys would get done and they'd go sit at the bar in the club that they were playing, just like you would on a Saturday or a Sunday morning with your buddies. Hey, let's go have a cold one after this, right? But now they don't do any of that. They just go and work out their health and forget it. Forget it. I mean, I'll take a 7% any day. That says a lot more about me. I'd rather hang out with a 7% score person than a 100% score person, because a 100% score person is just going to be a major league pain in the ass, and they're not going to want to do anything fun. The 7%er is up for anything, and that's who I'm hanging with. Guy by the name, here's another one. Guy by the name of Eugene Payatz. Eugene Payatz. He was going to a cookout. He was at Fort Lauderdale Airport, and he said he was going to be traveling to Ohio in Cincinnati to a family cookout. So he went through the full body scanner, and when they got the full body scanner thing back, they noticed that they said what they did was they saw this anomalous layered situation across his torso, arms, and upper thighs. Okay. And it looked like they were like round objects this long. So you're seeing this thing and you're thinking, this guy has got dynamite strapped to him. And we got to pull this guy out of line because he's going to get on the plane. He's got dynamite strapped to him. This is going to be horrible. Right. And they said, let's go. And they pull him aside and they examine him further. And what they find is that taped on his body is not dynamite at all. But what he has is 47 individual uncooked hot dogs secured to his body with what agents refer to as approximately 2 rolls of duct tape. So he said he was going to a family cookout in Cincinnati, and he felt that checked baggage fees have gotten so far out of control. How was he going to get these there? So he wasn't going to put them in a bag, so he taped them to his body. And he said that was the only logical alternative. He said he considered the method for 3 weeks before executing, and he described the planning phase as the most organized he has felt since he retired. And he said, why? They said, why are the hot dogs uncooked? And he had an answer. He said, well, I'm not going to cook someone else's hot dogs. And they said, that doesn't answer the question. Well, when they went in to his carry-on, they found other things. They found 2 buns, a travel-sized mustard, and a plastic fork. Why? Well, first of all, you get 47 hot dogs and you get only 2 buns. It means there's a lot of people that are like, I'll just have mine without a bun. They're all on the Atkins diet or doing the no carb thing, right? But he's got 47 and he's got 2 buns. He's got 2 buns, a travel-sized mustard, and a plastic fork. And he said, yeah, well, that's for the flight. So he's got raw hot dogs on his body. And what he's going to do during the flight is he's apparently going to go in and take 2 of those off and put them on a bun. And with mustard only, thank God he's doing mustard only. Thank God he's not a Chicago dog guy. And then he's trying to bring in that green relish and, the pepperoncinis. And then you got the poppy seed bun and the seeds are falling off everywhere. But he's going to, and they don't serve meals on planes anymore. So he's going to hunker down and peel a couple hot dogs off of his body and throw them in the bun with some mustard. And like I said, at least he's got that going for him. He's a mustard only hot dog guy. So there's a lot of mustard aficionados out there that are very pleased that this guy has got he is a mustard only guy, even if they are raw and strapped to your body. They were not in any approved food container, had no ice. And the family in Cincinnati said, yeah, the cook-up was real. But we had no idea he was bringing hot dogs. The hot dogs were confiscated. And then he said, one of the oddest things that I think I may have ever heard is he said, hey, can I have the tape back? Okay, what are you going to do with that? What are you possibly going to do with that, with the tape? No, you can't have the tape back, and we're confiscating the hot dogs. So there was nothing at that cookout in Cincinnati when he landed. There has been a change in rules, or in the way that people are getting married, rather, not rules, but there's a new trend. Cruise ship weddings. A lot of people are doing that. You had the whole location, or you had the destination wedding, which I have already told my son, yeah, don't no freaking destination weddings. I'm not going to be flying to Ecuador or something because you thought it would be neat to get married there. All right. You know, if you want to get married somewhere, you go on your own, throw a party when you get back. Okay. But you don't make everybody, it's like crazy. It's like you got to go to these destination bachelorette parties, and then you have to go to a destination wedding, and they're going to Nashville for one thing, and they're going to Boulder, Colorado for another. It's like, how much money do you think we have? That's how narcissistic they are. But cruise ship weddings are starting to be popular because they're cost efficient. Okay. And the average wedding in 2025 was $36,000 to throw a wedding. But Carnival, you can do a wedding for 10 people and it's $1,800. However, guests have to pay separately for the cruise fare, which is ranges from $560 to $7,900 per person. Where's that $560 cabin? That's going to be down in the engine room. And so, you know, someone's late to your wedding and you go, do you smell diesel? I smell diesel. You smell diesel? And it's a guy in the $560 room. But, you know, one of the challenges, they say it's limited space. Don't have a lot of people that are going, but that's what they're doing. It's cheaper for them to throw a wedding on a ship and then hang the cost on the other person who's got to travel there, get on and book their own fare. But here's the other thing is that based on recent trends, apparently, you know, if you get married on a cruise ship, it should not be that hard. You can get married in the afternoon and throw your wife overboard in the evening and just end the whole thing, because that seems to be a trend. That's the other thing. I see these all the time, and it's like, listen, if you're a boater and you're married, and you know, if you've had any type of a public disagreement with your wife, and you go on a cruise, and she disappears, it's on you, bro. There's nobody else who is going to be. When you come back and do that, she fell overboard crap. No one's buying it. Right? You found a way to toss her. And there's just that other guy right now who did it. Where was he? Was he in the Bahamas? And yeah, his story's not holding up either. And his wife dead in a boat accident, and tossed her over the side. So young adults now. I love this one too, and this will be the last one, and then I'm going to get into the story because I did a little deeper dive into the dildo story, not to be confused with the Gilgo Beach story. Those are two entirely different things. But you know, anxiety now is just crippling everybody. You know, especially these young adults. So what are they doing? This is what they've got. Okay, well, like an insane amount in the 60% of people between 18 and 26, they have anxiety conditions and have panic attacks or whatever. And it's like, you know what? Um, as someone who has had and has some sort of, um, sounds kind of harsh, when you say mental health disorders, but I mean, I'm ADHD. I mean, that's what it is, right? Um, and you tend, and you get anxious and you do things like that. But now what they're doing is these youngins have anxiety bags. Yeah, they're gonna have, you know, uh, just because you get anxious and you have anxiety doesn't mean that you're mentally unstable. It means you're anxious and you have anxiety. And there are people who are definitely crippled by it and it gets horrible. And I understand that. But now, when you run across most of these people, and I see it with students, they all talk about how their mental health is so bad. I can pretty much pick out a kid who's messed up and one who's pulling bullshit, right? And but now they've got anxiety bags. They got anxiety bags because apparently bringing in puppies was not cost effective. But what it is it's a bag full of sensory distractions that they carry with them that they can use during overwhelming moments. Some of the things that they have in there might be sour candies, essential oils, fidget toys, um, breathing exercise cards. So sour candy and like potpourri or essential oils. They're just saying the way to cope with this is by being an old person. And because that's what I want to know is at what age do you start eating more hard candies? But that's an entirely different show. Um, but they say it was like when you do this, it shifts your mind away from the anticipatory thought loops that cause the anxiety. And it's like, no, you know what? How about sacking up? Unless you're really fucked up, how about just sacking up and not freaking out? Because uh, they don't know how to do it. There is literally no intestinal fortitude at all. At all. No intestinal fortitude whatsoever. But what that brings me to is that brings me to the story of the dildos. And I brought this up on Tuesday because this is just killing me. I cannot, uh, this is just mind blowing what is going on here. So, in the new trend, and we talked about this, the new trend, and we'll go and I'll bring this up right now, and I'm going to show you another video. Um, the new trend is people going up at these ICE protests and they're using dildos and they're taking dildos and they're throwing they're throwing them at the ICE cops. And there's nothing remotely threatening about a dildo being thrown at me, unless you're this chick here, right there. Look at the size of that fucking hog. Holy cat! And then her dog. This is what I love. It's like got a cock in one hand. I got my cocker spaniel in the other. There we go. But this was done at the University of Texas, where they said it was about not allowing handguns in school. And here you see this is really very clever here. I don't know, cocks, not clocks. And that's what you got to do. You got to have some sort of a battle cry. I think I like that. I might steal that. Of course, we got the purple hair, the shirt here. I don't know what the shirt says, but I'm intrigued. When you have a T-shirt and the first line is "Heat Me Out," you have to be intrigued. You go, I gotta read the rest of this. But there, you got your marchers in here, and they're sitting with. They have their dongs raised high in the air, and you look at a lot of them here, and you go look into that crowd of beautiful people. And first of all, it's 2000. We're 5 years past freaking COVID. Take the mask off, you moron. It's been scientifically proven it doesn't work, and you're an idiot. And now that people look at you, that's all they think. If someone's walking around with a mask on, that's all people think right now is you're a fucking moron. You're still doing that, don't you read? Or two things that you think. Either you're a moron or you have cancer really bad. Okay. It's one of those two, right? So 90%. And if they're not thin and wavy looking with ashen pale skin, they're a moron. But these are some beauties. I love this. The guy on the left has got a shirt that says throw dildos at Nazis. Yeah, maybe that's what we needed to do to get out of World War. Maybe we didn't have to drop the bomb. Or we didn't have to lose all those people in the Normandy invasion. They just had to go in and throw dildos at the Nazis. These people are so clueless when it comes up with this. And I said this on Tuesday. Our protesters have turned into a bunch of pussies because you go back and take a look at the riots in LA in 92 or the riots in the 60s and the 70s. Those people were pissed and they knew how to riot, right? They were burning shit down. That is what I call a riot. Now, and you fast forward to 2026 and we're going rioting and we're just going to take big dildos out. It's like, what the hell? You are not threatening. So I had to dig into this. And I had to figure this out. I had because I could not square this circle. Right? I could not. No idea where they got this. But it started in Minneapolis and it spread. Everyone has got the schwanzes out. Well, what happened? What happened is, well, it says anti-ICE demonstrators have been throwing and displaying sex toys, primarily dildos, at ICE facilities as a form of political protest. Okay, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get what you're relating there. Well, it started in Minneapolis, and it was this backstory on this is awesome. Conceived by an organizer using the pseudonym, right, Rook T. Winchester, which I don't even know what that means, but Rook T. Winchester. And a local adult toy store near the protest area began donating sex toys and served as a drop-off location for protest supplies. Okay. And so this guy's going, yeah, I'll throw in some dildos. Yeah, let's fight the good fight. You need some big black ones, like that one chick has. What do you need? You need the double header, whatever the case may be. Well, anyway, in April, then it spread to LA, and there were people outside a detention center, and 5 people were arrested, and they were throwing dildos again. And what they're saying is dildos, unlike rocks or bottles, are relatively harmless projectiles. There you go. Okay, well, isn't the whole point of rioting to inflict damage on the other person? Isn't that what it is? It's kind of like a mini war. And why would you be going out with a harmless projectile? Because you're the one who looks like an idiot, not ICE. You're walking around town and you got these big dongs, right? You're the ones who are idiots. You got that going on. This is what you are. You're the idiot. Okay. You're coming up. Although this girl just kills me. Everyone else has got their regular size, except the chick, she's got the big, it looks like a camouflage strap on. So you don't know what's sneaking up on you, I guess. But that's what she picked out. She went and picked out that. And I hope to God she went out and bought it just for that event. And it's not something that was just at home behind the drapes, being hidden. because that is a monster. Um, but so there so I kept digging and digging because I couldn't figure out why. It's like you gotta be, and we appreciate you're not burning down the cities. Don't get me wrong, and we appreciate the fact that you protest. Like I said, you have every right to, but you're the one who looks like a moron when you're flinging dongs over the fences. And then there's this one, and this is the one that I love. So this is again, these protesters are not threatening people. Okay, they do not look very, and some of them are. Some of them are going to go after you pretty hard, and they want to cause injury. But these people, no, they're a joke. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. Yeah, they got the dildos, and now what do we do? You know what they do? So they're out. They're supposed to be protesting, and someone says, "Shut the let's play." Oh, there we go. That's we got that. We got guys playing dildo cornhole, is which is that way. That endorses, or that brings up a lot of imagery. But they're playing cornhole with the dildos, and they're supposed to be protesting. That is not threatening. In fact, you just look dumber. You know who plays cornhole with dildos? College frat boys, right? Or something that find one. It's not protesters, right? Mhm. Sushi from the Fall says, "Remember when these same people cried when dildos were flying on WNBA courts? It's the same clowns. But now it's okay to throw dildos at the government." Yeah, go ahead. I mean, and throwing dildos at a WNBA player, kind of missing the mark, aren't you? I would think, to a degree, you're missing the mark. But anyway, I'm like, okay, I gotta find this out. Why are they doing it? Okay. Well, I started digging into it, and this just goes to show you whoever came up with this idea is just living in clueless world. Okay, because the way they examine this and the logic that they are using behind, we're going to throw dildos, and this is going to get them. This is going to, because like, right, it's like, oh my God, you're going to, at the time it would have been, Christy Nome and Tom Homan and President Trump. It's like, we have to pull out now. They're throwing dildos. No, they're bouncing off the cars, for God's sake. They're not going to break anything. But so they got into the strategy of the dildo throwing, and they said it is strategic on several different levels. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Number one, mockery and humiliation. Okay, it's hard for officers to look intimidating while being pelted with sex toys. And it would be very difficult for them to frame themselves as victims of dildo violence. Really? Okay, so that's what you're thinking. It's like, oh, we'll get them, we'll throw dildos at them, and then they'll look stupid when they say they were attacked by dildos. That'll be so funny, won't it? That'll be great. Well, you want to know something? It is hard for officers to look intimidating while being pelted with dildos. But you know what makes them look intimidating? How about the gun on their holster, the taser, and that big vest that they've got, and the riot helmet? Okay, that's intimidating. Okay, so you can throw dildos all you want at me, and I'm still going to look intimidating, right? There we go. Well, they're going to dig a little bit deeper. Okay, well, the other thing, this is why it's strategic. The other thing here is, yeah, we're trolling conservative values. Like it's deliberate provocation aimed at the cultural sensibilities of the MAGA aligned ICE supporters, because for them, for the ultra MAGA, supporters, for them, sex toys are unsettling. So what is we're going to throw dildos? Why? We're going to do that because they would sound silly if they said they were victimized. They were victims of a dildo attack. So we're gonna make them sound silly, and then we're gonna make them feel uncomfortable around dildos. So okay, um, they can't talk about being attacked by dildos, and if they do, they're gonna look funny, and then we're gonna make them feel uncomfortable. Like I said, you got to step up your game. Here we go. It's non-violent, violent, and legally ambiguous. Okay. Unlike rocks or bottles, a thrown dildo is unlikely to result in serious injury, right? Or straightforward assault charges. Yeah, I can see that unless you're this chick and you're tossing this monster. Okay. You're throwing this anaconda at a cop. That could hurt someone. That definitely put an eye out, right? So it may not result in serious injury, but it's still assault, right? You're throwing an object at someone to disrupt them. Just because it's not an object that could hurt them necessarily, the same as a rock, it doesn't make it right. So once again, you're fucked up in the head. Um, and then here we go. This is it. This is the reason. The social media potential for virality. The absurdity of the imagery makes it highly shareable and attention grabbing online. Even if mainstream news is reluctant to air it, that's it. We're going for the clout. We're going for dildo clout. Okay. Yeah, you go with that. The dildo thing is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. There is nobody afraid of a flying dildo. Nobody. And to think that that's going to have any impact on these guys, right? These guys are out there in riot gear. They've been having bricks thrown at them, and then you're just going to change up the game plan and you're going to go with dildos instead of bricks. At least when you were throwing bricks, you had some balls, right? You got into the heat of battle. At least that there's dildos. No one had you never heard of the great dildo assault of 1969 in Vietnam. What was that? Was it the Christmas Day? What was it? The something massacre or whatever. Yeah, that's you. But throwing dildos is not going to damage anything. So if you it's the rationale of these people. Like I said, hey, I'm not sitting here condoning necessarily, what happened and how they stepped over the line in Minneapolis at all. Not okay. But if you're going to protest, fucking protest, right? Don't go in and do it half-assed like this. Don't go in with a dong. Okay, because you know what? I guarantee you, these are guys that are out there in riot gear. They get person up to them this far, with nasty avocado toast smelling breath, and they're up there yelling at them a foot away from them, trying to get them to blink, and they're standing there as stoic as a Buckingham Palace guard, and they're not blinking. And then you pull a dildo out, and you try and threaten them. It's like, that'll get him to crack because he'll be laughing his ass off and go, "What the hell is wrong with you people?" And like I said, here we go. Look at that monster. You go out shopping for one of those. What if you go in and there's a run on that sex toy store for dildos? And what if that girl goes in to buy that big, huge one? And it's after a bunch of people who just bought a bunch of them. And she goes in to buy that, right? And so the clerk behind the counter would look at her and go, oh, protesting? So looking at that big, huge crank and going, oh, protesting? That's nice. The Black Mamba 580 or whatever the hell it is. Good choice for protest, and then have her just look and go, I'm not protesting. What am I supposed to be protesting? Is there a march? Because I don't know of any march. And just make them think that you were buying that for yourself. That is one that I don't think you can shop for. That's got to be explicitly. I mean, it has got to be an online order, right? You can't go in and buy one of those. That's you could go in and you could buy just about anything. Okay, and 'cause people will do anything now. They'll try anything. It's like it's not that big of a deal. Um, but you go in and buy one of those and walk out with it. That says an awful lot about you. That's all I'm saying. That says an awful lot about you. And you're not going to go, oh, it's for a friend, because who buys that for a friend? Um, and say, no, 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 I'm just doing this or doing that. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to go home and stick that thing to the wall and back up. Okay. And that thing is a monster. So that can't be it can't be remotely enjoyable at all. Um, and so you people are crazy. That's all I have to say. You guys are nuts. Wow, we're going long here. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But anyway, no Bronte today because she bailed on me. Those damn college students do that. Um, and next week, we're going to have 3 good days. I'm bringing Trevor Thomas on from another radio station in town because I don't give a rat's ass anymore. But Trevor's a good shit. But I did go too long on this. I was kind of rambling today, and I apologize for that. But Bronte is not here. Piper and Bronte will be back next week. I'm going to start to filter in a lot of guests coming up, and May 7th is going to be the big announcement. I think you're going to like it if you were a game fan, because we are making some headway here. And you may get a taste of that game family sooner rather than later. That's all I'm saying. So thanks for another great week. I'm sorry for talking so long. I'm an hour 26. It should only be an hour 30 minutes. I'll cut this way back down. But anywho, it's been great talking to you this week. I'm going to finish drying out, and hopefully won't get any more this weekend. And I will see you next Tuesday. And until then, you need to do me a favor, if you don't mind. And that favor is quite simple. Make good choices.
And that's it for this episode of KB's Unemployed Show. If you want to follow me on my unemployed journey, just subscribe to my channel below or dive into one of the playlists for all my unemployed action.